Okay, so as promised, I'm going to deliver an instructional, informative video pertaining to this pandemic that we are facing due to the infiltration of this new coronavirus. Yee! This is my kitty checkpoint. Yee. He helps me think by keeping me warm. I've decided that I'm going to divide this up into 7 parts. Um, it's going to be very brief. I'm going to provide some background on most of the things I hope that I talk about. This is me. It's going to be like really low tech, low brow, because I find it's more things are more efficient and functional and relatable that way. Okay, I decided a good way to do this is to make it to make it really involved too. is to is to make these videos so you can do them with your kids. So I have a big sketch pad here from many years ago. So all you need is like a piece of paper or two, pencil, pen. Maybe people don't have those anymore. I don't know. Hopefully you do. And you can. I won't curse. I swear. You can sit down with your kids and these will be fun and very educational. That's what I've decided to do. All right, so we're gonna do viruses. We're gonna do actually coronavirus introduction in this video. So grab your cat, grab your kid who is interested in participating, drawing, learning, whatever. And a marker and a piece of paper, and just follow these simple instructions, and then we're going to have a good laugh. So I want you to draw a circle. Everyone can do that, right? I'm not going to show you mine either until you're finished. And then inside the circle, I want you to draw some squiggly lines. You can have long ones, short ones, I don't care. Just draw a couple of squiggly lines. And then on the outside of the circle, I want you to draw like little prongs or sticks or whatever you want to call them, little projections coming out of your circle, okay? And you can do that like all the way around. Okay, are you done? I don't know if my first recording finished, but anyway, are you done? So you should all be laughing right now. You can draw faces on them. You can make them different colors. It really doesn't matter. I'm gonna show you mine. It's pretty good, right? Look at that. So this is called a virion. And a virion is a single viral particle. It's spelled like that. VIRION. It's probably a mirror image. And I've actually been calling this a coronavirus, or the coronavirus, which is, it's kind of like calling everyone in your family by their last name. Because coronavirus is actually the family that this virus is a member of. So the original name was NCOV 2019. Novel coronavirus originated in 2019. And now some people are calling it COVID-19, which is a bit of a misnomer because that refers more to the pathology, the disease, the symptoms. This is not the virus itself. It's kind of like the difference between HIV and AIDS. So there's a virus that causes the syndrome. So NCOV 2019 causes this COVID-19. So we have a coronavirus here in our beautiful diagrams, and they are spherical. They're not circular, so they're like balls with genetic material inside. So your squiggly lines that you drew is the genetic material, and what that means is it's It's the information that the particular virus uses in order to reproduce itself. So everything it needs in order to reproduce itself within a host cell, we'll get to that later, is here. It's packaged in what we call an envelope. So the circle that you drew is the outer, not a membrane, it's the outer envelope. It's the thing that, like the coat of the virus. So if this virus didn't actually have this coat, this outer membrane, it wouldn't exist. It would just be genetic material floating around, and it wouldn't be useful. And on the outside, the prongs that you drew, these are called spike proteins, and they're called spike proteins because they're spiky. And the coronavirus itself, the family of viruses that are called crown viruses, are called that. Corona, I think it's the Latin word for crown, because they look like they're crowned by these spike jewels. So these are what, sorry, I'm pointing and you can't see. These are what your virion uses to infect cells with. I'm going to get to that in the next page. So everyone have their virion? Because we're going to go into how these guys use these spikes in order to infect cells in the next segment. Okay, so everyone knows what a lock and a key are, right? I'm assuming. The concept is that there's like an innie and an outie bit, basically. Innie meaning something that has an inclusion, and outie is something that surrounds a projection, so to say. So I want you to take your paper or construction paper or whatever you have, and I want you to make, just rip out a shape that you think would be a good lock mechanism, the outer part, for one of these little probes that you drew, so that it would fit well. So you're kind of going to be making a puzzle piece that's going to fit as best as it can over your probe. I made one, and it's pathetic, but this is just for demonstration. You guys are going to do a much better job than I am at doing this. So when you're done, you can also cut out or rip out your virion's spike protein, and you can take this as far as you want to go. I won't stop you. So the concept, I hope you can see this, is that each of these spike proteins, imagine this in 3D. Oh, you can't see this. Wait. I'm just going to do a little modification here. So now you can see it a little better. So the concept is that for each of these spike proteins, it has an ability to bind, literally attach to, in like a lock and key way, to another protein or molecule that humans have in many different places in their body. This is an enzyme. An enzyme is like a protein that eats other things. It chews them up and cuts them. So we're going to call this enzyme ACE2, because that's what it's called. So ACE2, he's not mad or he's not mean, but he is right now. So this virion binds this ACE2 and probably many other ACE2s. And a series of events happens following that, which I won't go into now. But basically, because this enzyme is associated with cells in the human body, in the lower lungs, in the heart, in the kidneys, in the testes, but we won't talk about those, then this virus has the ability to infect, to gain entry into each and every one of those cells. And we are seeing many, many different bad effects on the human body due to this. Now, the important thing to remember here is if this virion is not able to do this lock and key mechanism, engagement, and successful entry into cells, then it's not harmful to humans. So that's why this virus has been so efficient so far, because of this. Okay, so next step, we're gonna go inside the cell. All right, you're gonna draw it. So I want you to draw one of your little spike proteins. Okay, just one. So this is what we're gonna do, a little blow up of our situation. Okay, and I want you to draw a cell. Basically, this, you don't have to know any biology. I just want you to draw a circle that's bigger than your spike protein. And on the surface of the cell, on the outside of the cell, you're going to have this lock and key mechanism going on. So you're going to have like a blow up picture of the beginning of the entry of this virus into a cell. So what I'm saying is this. This is very technical. So you have your spike protein here. It doesn't look like this. I'm just, it's a demo. And you have it binding to its, we call it a cognate receptor. And this is the cell. So this is not proportional either. So that's going to allow, this is your virus. That doesn't look like any language. Anyway, it's going to allow the virus to go inside the cell. What happens is this cell is going to envelope. It's going to like ooze around the virus, and it's going to be like, hey, let's take this virus inside. You're going to end up with this. You're going to have a virus inside your cell. Success. Okay? It may or may not happen this way. Usually what happens when the virus actually enters is that it uncoats. It's like when you go to your friend's house and you have your coat on, and when you go in you take your coat off and then you dump all your shit on the floor. Oops, I said I wouldn't swear. Sorry. So that's what these guys do. So this is actually wrong. So he's a male now, okay? He loses his coat, and this genetic material, stuff that he uses to recreate himself, is left inside the cell. So what happens after this is different for different viruses. I know the most about HIV because I used to study this for a long time. So for the coronavirus, as far as we know, and we don't know everything yet, that's for sure. What we know is that it uses the host cell machinery, the machines in the cell, to make copies of itself. So this is the only thing that any virus does. They're either made up of something called RNA, which is ribonucleic acid, which is what these guys have, single-stranded, I believe, or it's DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid. And the only function, I will say, of viruses is to make more of that product. And they cannot do this if they don't infect cells. They're useless without the cell's machinery. It's very parasitic. So this is a very loose lecture, I suppose, on how these virions gain access to cells. And I'm not going to draw any host cell machinery here because that's too much. So basically the end product is all this goes on. And these virions make many copies of themselves using this machinery. Sorry, you can't see that. And then they end up leaving the cell. Now, I'm going to admit right now, I don't know if they do this by something called budding, which is irrelevant. I don't know if these are cytolytic, which means that when they leave the cells, they're destroying them. I need to do some more reading, but I do know that this is how there end up being many more of these. After a single virion infects a cell, these go to the blood. And where does the blood go? Everywhere. And then reinfection. So you can imagine that even if you start out with a small amount of virus exposure, that because of this mechanism, there's going to be a lot more virus in your body after a very short amount of time. I guess the only place to go now is how our bodies are coping with that. So I was going to say, talk a little bit about the immune response, which is the body's natural reaction to invaders. Now, the reason why this particular virus is not like the flu and is far more dangerous than, well, anything I've come across in my lifetime, is because it's a novel zoonotic pathogen. So novel just means new. Zoonotic has the word zoo in it, right? So it's easy to remember that this just means that there's been a so-called spillover event from an animal to the humans. So animals, also even plants, have viruses. A good friend of mine was studying plant viruses. They're not just a human thing. Everybody has their own viruses. But because we're all genetically distinct, usually a virus of one species doesn't have any effect on another species, and that's because of this lock and key thing that I was explaining. There's no fit. So every now and then, a virus will jump from one animal species or something species to another. And in this case, it jumps from an animal species, which is still unknown, to humans. There's strong evidence to show that this came from a bat because there's something that you can do in science called genetic sequencing. I think everybody knows what a sequence is. It's just like, the alphabet is a sequence of 26 letters. So it's just an ordered arrangement of characters. Okay, so all living things have the same characters that make up their being, their structure. The order of them is very, very important. So if you compare the genetic structure, like if you lay out all the building blocks of this virus in a line, like literally in a line, and you compare it to the building blocks that make up a bat coronavirus, then you see that they are extremely similar. They're almost identical. I think they're 97% identical, which means that of all of the, there we go, of all of the letters in the alphabet of their being, 97% of them are the same. I mean, this is how we know that things are related. There's also evidence to show that there was an intermediate host called a pangolin, which is another sweet little creature that is being exploited by humans. But again, we don't really know where it came from. The point is, animals can give viruses to humans. Not good when it happens. The reason it's not good when it happens is that because we haven't seen these viruses before, and by seeing, I don't mean with your eyes, I mean your immune system, this system of cells and molecules that acts as an army to defend you against invaders. This system has not seen this virus before. So imagine you're in a mall, and you have to find your friend in the mall, and there's like 1 million people in the mall. You know, it's going to be really impossible to find your friend if your friend is invisible. I don't know if this is a good analogy, but this is what's coming to my brain right now. If your friend is invisible, has an invisibility cloak, then you won't be able to see them, and therefore you won't be able to find them. So I've had my seat taken. So I'm going to close this video. I wouldn't mind getting some feedback, because I know that this is very, it's just me talking in my living room. But I don't know, sometimes the normal stuff that you do, other people like. So it'd be nice to hear feedback. I saw that there are some questions already that I answered, but most of them kind of require attention in the form of their own video. So this was basically it's an introduction to the coronavirus itself, why it's bad, how it infects, in a very, very, layman kind of way. So I think I'm going to close this one and start a new one about something that's really important, and it's this whole, there are two things actually, and maybe I'll start with the first one, which is social distancing. What is that, and why is it effective? Why do we need to do it now? And exactly what does it mean? Like somebody just asked, how far do you need to be away from people outside? Which is an excellent question, because just being outside reduces the risk of transmission enormously, especially if it's windy and you're upwind. I'll get into that in another video. The other thing is this whole soap, hand sanitizer thing. Just briefly, forget the hand sanitizer. Just use bar soap. It's the most effective thing at destroying viruses. It disrupts their membrane, and it also has what are those things called? Lipophiles? I don't know. I'll do another video on that. Just regular soap. And if you're worried about, another friend asked about disinfecting surfaces like canned goods surfaces when you go shopping, you don't need to do that. If you're concerned, and I actually do transfer all of my food goods into glass containers when I get home, but if you're concerned, you can do that. If they're tins, just put them away. The virus it's not going to live more than a few days, so you can put them away and be pretty sure that that's not going to be a source of transmission for you. If you're really concerned, just, run them under the water with some soap. There's no need to freak out. It's just use the information that's being put out there that seems the most reasonable from the people who have some kind of credibility. And I know that's hard to assess right now, but yeah, maybe my best piece of advice is think like a virus. Till next time. Meow! Thanks for watching if you did.